Thank you, and welcome back to the program. A big thank you to our sponsors and, of course, our partners, Racer and Speed Sport, for making this program available to each and everyone out there. So again, we are live, on Zoom, on Racer.com, on Speedsport.com, on our different YouTube channel, and we are going to bring Mr. Tony Parella next on the panel. So Paul, I guess you're on mute.
Both Paul and everybody's been with us since the very first year, and I'm just so proud to have them on our 4th annual Race Industry Week. So it's a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And there's Tony.
Good afternoon, Tony.
Getting a little panic stricken because I wasn't sure if you were picking me up or what was going on, but I'm ready to go.
We see you and hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me on.
Great to see you, Tony. By the way, you're always ready to go for as long as I've met you.
I got to tell you, Paul, I was a little nervous. I thought I'm technically challenged when it comes to Zoom links. Unfortunately, I was panic stricken that I somehow messed this up. I've done it 3 years in a row. You think I'd have the process down by now, but we're good.
I'm going to learn about unmuting. I don't think I have that part down. So first off, wow, what a year you've had, Tony. You more than came back strong from the depths of the pandemic. And just talking to John here about the Trans Am, across the board, you've grown this business, especially since we met. And we'll talk about 23 in a moment, but just as by way of background, I don't think many people that are in the racing community realize that you came from outside the racing business. You were a participant, but you're a business person with great success in turning companies around and dealing with what would be calamitous situations and turning them into something that has value for all involved: employees, shareholders, customers. So tell me, first off, why the hell did you think you could do that with SVRA as a starting point?
I have to admit, I'm entering my 12th year, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
But I was incredibly naive on what it would take to make this work as a business and work well. But we used a lot of the fundamentals that I learned over my 30+ year career in telecommunications. Frankly, we applied them to racing. And I wish I could tell you in 2012 that I could see everything that we've become or knew exactly the course we were going to chart to get here. But in hindsight, honestly, we used the basic fundamentals that I've used everywhere in my career. And it starts with treating your employees and people the way they should be treated. It also, you need to be able to see your business in a way that most people don't really take the time to do. And one thing that I was adamant about when I made the decision to go into racing was to build the best back office in racing. And that, honestly, that one decision at the time, there you could outsource your entry process, and that's still a viable way that people do it. It's just for where I wanted to go with sponsorship and some of the other things that we needed to do to grow the platform debt-free. I had to see the business at a level that I've not seen anybody in racing able to see their business quite the same way. And I think, good people, good systems, and I approached this as an enthusiast. Look, I came in thinking I was going to be a race car driver every weekend, and this was going to be semi-retirement. The racing side lasted about 2 years, and I wasn't very good at it because I was too busy trying to build the business. And I just finally waved the white flag and said, I'm going to build a company. And a lot of good things happened. Trans Am coming into the picture and adding that to building a national footprint for vintage racing with SVRA, the FR, F4. We've launched some new series as of late with PSSA, our prototype group. And all of that momentum has helped make this work. But if you look at what the starting point was, it's it's remarkable how far we've come. The company I started with was at 3 racetracks, Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, and Sebring. And it was vintage only, and there was 0 gate, and there was 0 sponsors. So this was built on the backs of amateur racers that were enthusiasts, much like is done every day in vintage racing. We just charted a little bit different path to try to emulate what some of the mainstream motorsports players were doing. Just we did it on our scale and our time. But it's been a fantastic journey. But what's interesting is, for the first time, I feel like now we're ready to really go. This hasn't even been announced yet, but a month ago in October, I closed on a transaction that brought in some major league investors into Parella Motorsports Holdings. And I've been at a crossroads. I probably, if it had not been for COVID, I would have done it sooner. But COVID scared the heck out of me. And I felt the best thing to do was go it alone, not take on debt, but take care of the team and take care of the customers that we could run races at, and just weather the storm. And we did that. We did it well. And the company, I had 2 basic principles. I was not willing to put debt on the company, largely because of my age. I'm going to be 65 years old, and I don't want to have unnecessary debt or stress after all what I've accomplished in business in my prior life. So my steadfast rule was, if we can pay for it with cash, then we can do it. And we've really built this at the grassroots level, block by block. And, this year, instead of 3 events in 24, we'll have as a company 26 events, I think. We're, in terms of entries, instead of about 300 race entries as a company, we'll do over 6,000. In terms of, so we didn't even have a Facebook page or anything in place. So we've been a work in progress, but with these new investors, to give you perspective on who they are, they own part of the Washington Commanders, the NFL team. They own the New Jersey Devils. They own the Philadelphia 76ers. They own the X Games. This is a consortium of 3 private equity groups that I brought into the fold. I still Parella Motorsports Holding. I'm still the CEO. I still own a pretty hefty chunk of the business. But this enables us now to go to, frankly, any scale we want to go to, as long as it makes good business sense. And for where I was in my career, I had my objectives with the company have evolved, as you would expect. Job 1 was to make sure all the work we've done is preserved. I think we've changed the face of grassroots racing in America. I think we have a legitimate chance to be at the seat of the table, to be part of mainstream motorsports in America. But having the partners to do it with that are like-minded in the vision and really want to take it to the next step, it was the right time for me to do that. And as that was going on, I brought in 2 heavy hitters to the team. I mean, you just finished with John, but in addition to John with Trans Am, who's done a great job, you got Scott Goodyear, who came and runs our F4 FR, and there's amazing development for these young kids. But then I hired Michael Printup, the former president of Watkins Glen International,
Yes.
to really take over the day-to-day operations so I can focus more on strategic. In addition, I brought in probably the best marketeer in motorsports. Kim McCullough was responsible for marketing with Jaguar and Land Rover. She's been a consultant to me. I know you have a history with Kim, and she's going to take us, between her and Michael, and added to the team we have, they're going to take us to a level I could have never done on my own. The company has outgrown my ability to wear all the hats. Yeah. And take it to the level that it's capable of. But it's been a blast. I had 30 years in telecom and had my fair share of successes taking 2 companies public, one company on best company in America to work for list 4 years in a row. But this is the first time I enjoyed and cared about what I was selling. It was always about the people, but nobody ever called me up and said, God, I love my phone. But this is a labor of love. There's no question.
Well, first off, congratulations to you and your team for having earned this this capital partner in your business, and congratulations to them for seeing and understanding the value in what you've created. You know, I've been witness to the growth and development of your business in a really turbulent and challenging time in motorsport. You know, you've had some very interesting headwinds you've had to deal with on a couple of occasions here, and you've navigated this turbulence and basically shifting landscape really well. And you've also held talent close to you. A lot of really good people work inside your team. You know, I've gotten to know a number of them, and the continuity of the team has been a big part of that. What do you think it is that makes them, you know, stay committed to you and hold this team together while you see sea change a lot of times in other teams?
Well, I think they believe in the direction. Number one, you know, my employees, I came in and painted the best picture I could paint at the time of what we were going to become. And that was met with a fair amount of skepticism, to say the least, in the industry in general, because, you know, people, because it hadn't been done before to this scale,
yeah,
they felt like, who's this idiot from outside racing that's going to do this? But I think we had a very good vision, and we were diligent in our spending. We were very focused to not overspend, but provide as much value as I can. I poured every dollar into the business that came in. I certainly didn't take out a whole lot out of the business for the last 12 years. It was constantly reinventing ourselves. But we built this debt-free. And I think what happened with this transaction that I did last month with my new partners, I think they were able to see, holy cow, this thing went from here to here with no debt. He did it all out of the cash register. And we didn't do it on the backs of the racers. You know, we now have real gates. We have real partners. You know, we've invested in streaming. As I listened to John's session, and he was spot on. We started with streaming and CBS Sports, and now Mav TV's come in, and we're actually broadcasting live. And you know, CJ and Mark on the Mav team, they're changing that network. That's the real deal.
Yeah,
and I think John's analogy of replace the Speed Channel days. I think they're going to take it to another level, and they got the right team over there. So that partnership is evolving. So we're really excited. I'm already looking at some interesting M&A opportunities, which I always do. But the difference is I can look at bigger ones now than I could when I was doing it out of the cell. And but my team, I think they've, you know, we just had a big meeting at COTA, our year-end race, and we kick off the season at Sebring with a big team meeting. And the picture I painted in February to the picture that we actually did in November, that through the season, everything came true. And when you say you're going to do something and then do it, you build credibility with your team, and you build credibility in the marketplace. And I think my team knows that we'll shoot straight, and we're going to figure it out. And so I'm really blessed with the employees we have. We've had very little, if any, turnover, but we stepped up during COVID. We try to do the right thing whenever possible. And there's a balance, you know, in any business.
Yeah.
You have to balance your employees, your customers, and the investors or owners. And if you, at any given time, one of those things can get out of balance, but over a period of time, they all have to get their fair share. And a CEO's job is to make sure that happens. It's been true. I don't care what business you're in. That's going to be true.
Yeah, and I think the thing I've getting to know you over this past 10 or 11 years here, one of the things I will say, if you don't know Tony, Tony's good at learning faster than the competition. Um, and that's what I like about racing people. The people who succeed in racing learn quickly, and they're learning from multiple inputs. That everything's a learning experience. A setback is a learning experience. And seeing you evolve and adapt your property and your business model as you've learned is, I've learned a lot from watching you do it. And the thing that strikes me about it, though, is that you're never satisfied. There's always another mountain to climb. You get one thing under control, and your eyes are up the horizon. There, you see something else. And
Oh
when,
yeah. If you're not growing, Paul, if you ever are satisfied as a CEO, it's time to retire, because my experience in business, if you're not growing, you're dying. And
yeah,
you don't make excuses. You find a way to grow the business profitably and intelligently. Sometimes you have to make mistakes to get to where you want to go. I mean, I've had some colossal failures along the way. Probably the funniest one, my first year, we were going to go to Rockingham, because I had heard of Rockingham and I thought we would catch people on their way to the Midi. So I bought 200 jars of Junior Johnson moonshine, had a big pig roast, and I think we had 12 cars or some ridiculous turnout. It was so bad. I still got some moonshine if you need some.
oh, good. Holiday gift list.
But that's
Parella
part of
moonshine.
it's part of it. You have to make mistakes to learn, and we've certainly made our fair share of them. But we've also, I think with the team we have, we've done a really good job for what this was and what it's become. But we're honestly, I can't stress this enough. You ain't seen nothing yet. Watch what happens to this company over the next several years. I think that it's unlimited to what we can become.
That's great. You have a fantastic foundation to build on. You built the relationships, you built the partner relationships, you've got a group of people that's learned the business through the lens of how you do business, which is a different way than a lot of others do business. You do keep your commitments. I'm, someone that's benefited from that as a client partner working with you in the Trans Am series. But at the same time, the thing I think that impressed me early on was that you looked at this differently. I think we met when you were doing your first Brickyard Invitational, which was an unthinkable thing for vintage racing at the time you did that. Yeah. Tell me how that came about.
Well, when I wrote the original business plan, two of the things that I had that I thought could change the game, so to speak, was getting an event at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for amateurs. Up until that time, it really was an exclusive club for IndyCar, Formula One, or NASCAR. But really no amateurs to scale race there prior to us cracking that code. And at the same time, Circuit of the Americas was being built. And I felt, given where it was located, if we could get a date there and have a, quote, vintage racing national championship. And that was, I will tell you, there was a fair amount of people that thought that was almost sacrilegious to say you're going to have a racing national championship for vintage cars. And that's, I get that. People are passionate about what they do. It just felt right for us. I'm a racer at heart. So a lot of the decisions I made were based on what I enjoy doing this, as simple as that sounds, but yet do it where it's financially viable. And the relationships they built at IMS, at Circuit of the Americas, Laguna Seca, and Lime Rock, and everywhere in between, VIR, Sebring, etc. Doing what you say you're going to do, they really got behind what we were trying to accomplish. And I don't hear now a whole lot of noise or negative noise. I'm still, we need more track time, we need this, we need that. You get the normal stuff that you always got to try to improve, which we constantly look at things to do. But we've really run this as well as you can. I think, a lot of thing that goes untalked about, doesn't get talked about, is safety of amateur racing. We invested in a flagtronic system. We're in the process now of taking these devices and putting them in every car. At some point I'll make that mandatory, so I don't have to hear they missed the flag or didn't see the flag. It's safer,
My favorite excuse.
But it also, and it also, honestly, probably will save somebody's life. And you can't. I think that the thing that I learned in vintage racing is they almost feel it's not going to happen to them being the racers. They think they're better than they are, quite frankly. And this is a tool. This is one of many things that we've done that when we first rolled it out, people scratched their heads, said, well, why are you making us spend $200 for that? Well, if it saves your life, or the other thing that it does is I can notify a driver that's saying, hey, your car's oiling. Would you please get off the racing line? And that cost me an hour to clean it up. So those kind of things, we're constantly looking at giving back to the space and investing in safety and investing in our process, investing in the training of our people. Some of the tracks we race at, I was not happy with their dispatch for towing and safety and ambulance. I bring my own team in. And it's not cheap to do that, but it's necessary when you don't have a standard that you're accustomed to. You have to fix it. Not all tracks manage it the right way.
Yeah,
so it's all of those lessons
ultimately. Yeah, you're managing time ultimately, aren't you?
Yeah.
I have to ask you a question now. We're getting near the end of this, and you've been on a journey here. What's the most important lesson you've learned, and what's the big thing left to do in this business for you?
Oh my God, we can go. I don't know what's left. It seems like there's several things left to do. We do not have a high enough level hospitality offering for our racers. That experience should be better. We're in the process of building what we call Speed Tour Marketplace, a zone for our sponsors and to sell their products at our races and really make it fan engaging. We gotta get better at marketing our gate. We're learning every day. We're learning on that and getting better and better. Our social media presence is improved. When you think about 45 million impressions, 3.5 million engagements is great, but I want to triple that or quadruple that. We're gonna go to another level there. We're taking our first shot internationally. We're going to Canada to do Continental Tire with a Trans Am race as our first step. But this pretty big globe that we got a chance to race in. I want to expand outside the U.S. I did a deal with the SCCA Pro that we took over the operational rights of that, and I see a huge opportunity to do what I call wholesale weekends.
Yeah,
and where it's not necessarily all of SVRA or Trans Am PMH properties. I want to recruit other clubs, drivers, whatever, other series that will sanction it, standardize it, we'll own the track contract, we'll help blow up the gate and promote, but still make it where they can't do it on their own, but they could be part of it. So I see us doubling the size of our footprint over the next several years. So there's so much to work on. And then there's internal processes and growth. Bringing Kim in and Michael in, it frees me up, and where I can really focus on the fundamentals and strategy of the business, which is very exciting to me.
Yes, and like I said earlier, you're a learning machine. So what's the big lesson out of this journey? This is the thing I want to hear out of you. You were a different person in some ways than you began this. You said you were naive, but you're only naive for so long. I saw you learn. What did you learn?
Well, I've tried to apply the lessons learned and be open-minded to continue to learn. That in the early days I heard we've always done it this way, and that's That doesn't make me happy when I hear that. You can validate that with my
Me
team.
too.
It doesn't, if you've been stupid all these years, let's not continue it. Let's try to get smart if we can. But, you know, this is a constant learning process. And I'm sure what I'm doing today, 5 years from now, I'll look back at this and go, God, what was I thinking? We should have been doing it this way. We're constantly evolving, but part of that is bringing in the team we have has fresh thoughts, fresh ideas, and frankly, we can learn from our people if we just listen. And I'm trying to do that the best I can. But I know I got to go, but I got to do something before I go. In honor of your next guest, this is an official Richard Petty hat that I did a fundraiser. And
That's fantastic.
He was my grand marshal. So for those of you on this call, look up Victory Junction. It's an amazing kids camp, and Mr. Petty's family has done an amazing job. So send him a check and put a kid to camp. It's not that expensive, and I'll let him
I
go.
love
I
that
can't
hat.
do anything to honor Linda
that hat,
Vaughn,
Tony.
because let's face it, I'm just not built properly to do that, but I can do a Petty impression. So thank you.
And that's a great message to end with. And it's you know, first of all, I want to thank you for your friendship and collaboration over these years. I've learned a lot from watching you and your team work, and you have an amazing team. And the additions to your team, I have great respect for. And I will mention that Kim McCullough was the first customer for Racer when she was the ad director at Mazda. So thank you, Kim.
And in closing, Paul, thank you for having me on. Racer and Racer.com has been a huge part of our exposure, growth, all of that. Vintage Motorsport magazine, all of that is part of our story, of our success. Racer and a huge seat at the table, including naming my company. So
I know.
Thank
yes,
you.
I know.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Registering on eParTrade is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to eParTrade.